Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, September 9th. It's just after 10 o'clock in the morning here, Eastern Standard Time. I want to welcome everybody here this morning. This is an open door, and on Tuesdays we go through the daily lessons of A Course in Miracles. This morning, we are progressing along. We are on lesson 49, God's Voice Speaks to Me throughout the day. I am moved this morning to do a couple of different things. So I'm going to take us through each lesson with our eyes closed as we have been doing. And then I'm going to take us through a brief meditation. And I'm going to read a little bit from the guide's latest book, A World Made New. And I'm going to do that with our eyes closed, still just in contemplation and silence. And then I'm going to end by reading a beautiful poem that came from Emergence magazine. And there's a part in the poem that really speaks to silence. And it's just 2 lines in the whole poem, but it's really beautiful. So I thought I would share that. So that's what we're going to do this morning. So just settle in your seat and know that I'm happy to be here with you. I'm going to turn my video off and we'll begin. We are on lesson 49. So as the illustrious Cindy has brought us to this point where she reads the first 50 lessons, and I'm working on deciding whether to read the review lessons or not. I'll see what comes up. But we begin with lesson 1. This morning, feel the way the words of the lesson. For those of you who are just joining us, please turn your cameras off. I'm going to be reading the lessons, and feel the way the words of the lesson resonate in your body, because A Course in Miracles is very similar, or the way that it works is very similar to what the guides say. The words have resonance. So I invite you this morning as we read to, if you haven't already been doing this, just pay a little deeper attention to the way the words resonate. Nothing I see means anything. I have given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. I do not understand anything I see. These thoughts do not mean anything. I'm never upset for the reasons I think. I am upset because I see something that is not there. I see only the past. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. I see nothing as it is now. My thoughts do not mean anything. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. I am upset because I see a meaningless world. A meaningless world engenders fear. God did not create a meaningless world. My thoughts are images I have made. I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I am determined to see. I am determined to see things differently. What I see is a form of vengeance. I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. I do not perceive my own best interests. I do not know what anything is for. My attack thoughts are attacking my own invulnerability. Above all else, I want to see. Above all else, I want to see things differently. God is in everything I see. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. I am not a victim of the world I see. I have invented the world I see. There is another way of looking at the world. I could see peace instead of this. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. My holiness envelops everything I see. My holiness blesses the world. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. My holiness is my salvation. I am blessed as a son of God. God goes with me wherever I go. God is my strength, and vision is God's gift. God is my source. I cannot see apart from God. God is the light in which I see. God is the mind in which I think. God is the love in which I forgive. God is the strength in which I trust. There is nothing to fear. God's voice speaks to me all throughout the day. Remember last week's lesson. There is nothing to fear. Please apply this lesson for today's teaching. Today's lesson was among those I found most challenging at first. What if I don't hear a voice? What if I fail? The answer was really simple. I was trying too hard. I was looking in the wrong place. You cannot fail at today's lesson. You cannot not hear the voice for God. The voice for God may be experienced differently. I have known teachers who smelled fields of flowers. Some may perceive words, some may have a feeling. Our own Richard points to silence as the voice for God. If you can sit quietly and say to yourself, I like myself. I am happy with myself. I am good. If you feel the certainty of these words, you are hearing the voice for God. Part of your mind is in constant communion and communication with Source, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. The part that is not aware is absorbed by functions in this world, and it obeys its laws. This part of the mind is constantly distracted, uncertain of itself, and disorganized. Why? Because the world is disorganized. That is its purpose. If you see this, and if you accept it, you become free to see beyond it. The mind that is in touch with its source is calm, always at rest, and wholly certain. It is content to ask and then listen. It is content to ask and then be and allow. It is content to expect nothing, but to make room for everything. Often the feeling is simple satisfaction. Rest assured, you are in the frequency of Source anytime you feel peace. The voice for God needs no effort and no work to hear. Indeed, trying too hard gets in the way. Be still, be still, be still. Be here, be here, be here. You have never left. Today's practice consists of 4 5-minute periods. Let's do one now. Place your awareness gently on the breath. Just notice. You don't have to effort anything. Breathing happens on its own. Just notice. Witness it. Relax in it. Now say in your mind, God's voice speaks to me all throughout the day. Watch the breath gently and be still. You know yourself as the silence. You are familiar with the emptiness, the limitless space. You know this as your center. In this space, in this witnessing awareness, would God's voice be a sound you would hear with the body's ears? From this silent, open awareness, how would you know the voice for God? There is no perfect answer. Just ask and see what arises. The guides tell us, now, some of you would say, give me the evidence as I want it. Give me the voice as I would have it be. Let me recognize the voice for God speaking to me now. But this evidence, this kind of evidence, has actually been procured through the lower field, or the idea of things as they should be. And this includes hearing the divine voice for God that comes as you think it should. It does not come as you think it should, because it's eternal. It always expresses in that accord, in the same accord, come through you individually, yes, but the sound of the divine and the tone of the divine does not differentiate as you would have it. It simply is. It simply is. The purpose of these practices is integration. The ideas need to be integrated into your very being, what you might call your mind. And we need to stop often during the day, where God's voice, as Richard says, truly is silence. That is when it is known. That is when it is heard. What does it sound like for you now? This is a poem called P Apology, PEA Apology. I am sorry to the peas that I watered so quickly each morning that I did not see the 6 pods till Sunday, till I sat down, and there they were, all grown. I am sorry for this way. I am sorry for not responding to your text in time and for interrupting our conversation to say hi to an old friend who had just walked in, who you must understand I had not seen in years. And I am sorry to the Beats, who on that Sunday afternoon finally screamed, "We are thirsty," screamed with the way they turned their purple stems to the sky, a whimsical thicket that we would delight in if we were small enough. And if I water them before the cruel noon has finished staring them down, then maybe their vast leaves will unfurl and will forgive me. As I finally pull out a blank piece of paper and write back to you, there has just been too much to say and not enough quiet, though I know that cannot be my excuse if the Beats do not make it through June. And if you stop believing that I am right here on the other end of all these postal services and all of this reaching, because attention is so much more like water than anyone told me. It is just as hard to hold enough of it in our palms to let someone else have some. Even when the garden is so much worthier than where my mind goes, and you so much more holy. Because attention is so much more like water than anyone told me. It is just as hard to hold enough of it in our palms to let someone else have some. Even when the garden is so much worthier than where my mind goes, and you so much more holy. God's voice speaks to me all throughout the day. It sings, it vibrates, it pushes, it pulls. It arises when we least expect it. Attention is so much more like water. Thank you for being here. When you're ready, come on back. Alka, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Well, first of all, I have to say you sounded like the guides, Amy, when you said how when we ask to hear God's voice, we want to hear it now and how we want it. And that's our lower self demanding it. And I found in my experience, whenever I have asked a question, in the past, I thought, well, sometimes it takes 2 days, sometimes it takes several years. But I'm slowly starting to realize the answer is always there. I just can't see it. And when I'm ready, I start to see it. It can be anything. It can be somebody talking to me. It can be a paragraph in a book. It can be a video, or it can just be a knowing. And it's there all the time, except I just don't see it till I'm ready. So God's voice is always there for us. We just have to be able to, or we have to be ready for it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you. And Alka, it wasn't my voice. I read to you from A World Made New. That's why it sounded like the guides. It was the guides. That's what I tried to say before we started, that I would be reading from this because I didn't want to. I didn't want to confuse anyone, but yes, that was the guides. So you picked up on that. That was good. Thank you. I notice so much more. when I know Cindy and I were talking about this, there's no Amy. There isn't. There's just being. All things are just arising in awareness. When Amy is not the interpreter of what's arising, so much more is available. I'm really just beginning this. I sense this. It's just beginning to open. And it's so amazing. I'm so in love with not being in love with Amy. Cindy.
I'd like to start by saying I love the expression we all call Amy, so there, even if there is no such thing. I've been um yesterday Alco was talking about the fear. Oh, I'm gonna put words in another's mouth and I apologize, but this is the way it was received. And I think it was yesterday, who knows? Um this sense of if as this work continues, where will I end up? I mean, I'm going to disappear, right? I've been, it's interesting how I watch Cindy or whatever I am say things, and then, oh, did I say the right thing? It comes and goes, and, but I've been sitting with that. And in my diet this morning, there got to be this point where I just started laughing. And what came up was it's the cosmic joke. I just kept saying it's such a joke. Cindy dies, and in a blink of the eye, no one's going to remember her name. I don't know about you, but I don't know the name of my great grandparents. I don't know their names. Um, and that's a good thing, right? So Cindy dies, no one's going to remember her name. So anything that's attached to a Cindy problem, is it really worth all this attention? And I just kept laughing and laughing and laughing. And my diet partner was going through something. I don't know the details, but she just looked at me and she started laughing. I mean, it was the cosmic joke. Like Cindy isn't. So what is it here that is so friggin' attached to Cindy being okay and Cindy doing the right thing and Cindy making sure her children who also don't exist are okay? It just every time I just went into that, oh, Cindy dies, isn't that great kind of feeling. It wasn't a negative. It was, oh, Cindy's just a word to describe a momentary experience, right? And then in the sharing afterwards, it started again because someone literally said something like in this sharing, um, when my partner, and those of us who are in the diet space probably even knows the name of the partner who does this. When my partner so like robotically says there is no other, I get really, really upset because I'm sitting here. Who am I? Chocolate. She didn't use those words. Who am I? Chopped liver? But she's sitting here doing her contemplation, reporting that there is no one else in the world. And I feel so lonely and attacked. and she, and, um, and I'm sitting here still a little bit in the giggle of, oh yeah, Cindy doesn't really exist. And I waited a while and then I put on, I'm sort of do the teaching in that experience. And I pointed to being able to use the experience, everything that triggers you, use it to explore. That's what we do. And it created this experience. And again, I walked away right before I came here with the sense of, did I say it wrong? Did I communicate? And it was so funny. And it got really funny again. Who's the I who made a mistake? If Cindy dies, that's the cosmic joke. Then what is the energy here of wanting to do it right? Anyway, Perhaps this is God's voice. Perhaps we don't hear it because we are it and we're refusing to acknowledge it. And something here is, it's like Eeyore with his head in the sand, so he doesn't feel the sun on his face. Anyway, I've got a whole bunch of stuff swirling around here, and I'm grateful for the space to say it.
Thank you. Alka, good morning again.
Good morning again. The point I was trying to make last night was that I was surprised. If somebody was to ask me if I was afraid of losing myself and whatever, my answer would be no, of course not. I know this would happen. But when I was sitting in the dyad and doing this letting go thing, I was so surprised how this fear of letting the self go and not existing came up. And it was so subtle. If I wasn't paying attention, I would have missed it. And that's the point I was making, that it was such a big surprise to me that it's there. I'm not always conscious of it, but there it is. That's all I was trying to say last night. Not that, well, that's it.
I love that that awareness and this speaks to A Course in Miracles too, the deeply, deeply, deeply unconscious fear of not being. It's so unconscious. It really is. We would be adamant in the position that we know there is no self. Right? We might be adamant about that, but when it comes right down to it, it's just there beneath the surface. It's there. I mean, intellectually, I can say, and I know this intellectually, I cannot remember being born. This awareness has never been born. It's just always been there, and it's never changed. It's the same. So how can something that has never been born die? It can't. This flood of memories, these memories, these little moments of quote unquote history, that can that can die, but this awareness. And yet, Alka, I'm sure that if I went further and further in, because I have experienced it. We're going to talk about it on Thursday, tomorrow, in to give all to all. That means to have the knowing of the true self. You have to give everything that you think is you to all. Everything. It's amazing. Richard, I love your shirt. You got your apricot color on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My experience is I am Richard. I'm not a separate self, but I communicate with all of us through Richard. Richard is an avatar I made up. And a dream, a life a dream, I chose to experience. So, what I love about Christian Sandberg is he talked about how he planned his reincarnation. So he chose the experiences he wanted to have in order to grow consciously. And I believe we're all doing that. I found that very enlightening for me, that I cannot communicate with you without Richard. Even telepathically, I would be talking to you as a separate self. So I don't particularly like the idea of saying I went through that for a number of years. I don't exist. Richard doesn't exist. Well, Richard does exist in the dream. And Richard is real in the dream. And now the dream does not exist. That means everything in the dream. It doesn't. But I chose to come into the dream, and I chose to manifest the love that I am as best I can and communicate with others who are also having this experience so we all can remember who we are and manifest the light and radiate that light that we read about and talk about all the time. Um, so I have difficulty now dealing with I don't exist. I do exist, but it's a different level of reality or non-reality, however, whatever word you want to use. But I think I find much more peace, love, and joy when I embrace it all, not part of it, not fight the fact that I'm not a separate self. I am a separate self. That's part of my experience. So that seems to be working for me right now.
Thank you for that. Last night, before I went to sleep, I do what I usually do. And so I always ask before sleep for whatever guides or masters or Christ consciousness, whatever, to help me in my sleep to do what needs to be done, to remember, to learn, to do whatever, to guide whatever happens. And I laid there and I called out each one of you. Each one of you. I remembered each one of you. And I said your name out loud to myself. My husband's on a fishing trip, so I'm sleeping by myself. I can do whatever I want to do. So I called everyone to come in. Now, when I said your name, I knew that you were me. I knew that it's a name that is a beautiful, unique expression of the one. And it's both true. It's all true. And I love it all. And so it isn't either or, it's both and. It's everything, everywhere, all at once. It is both and. And so here's my dream. I'm in a teaching environment where there's all kinds of people up, and I'm teaching with some other people. And I'm trying to show them how I say, put your two hands together and then move them like this. And I say, I'm teaching this because, and I say, we are teaching. I correct myself. It's not I who's teaching, we are teaching, because my sense is there are many other teachers that are there. And I forget as I'm going like this, as I'm moving my hands together, I forget what the teaching is. And then the dream ends. And when I woke up this morning, I remembered that dream. It was very clear to me. And so I'm thinking to myself, what does this mean? And it's exactly what we're talking about. It's the two, seeing it as the two moving into the one. It's still being, but in my dream, I didn't remember that. I remember it now. But so what I would say to each of you is thank you, because you were all there. You're all the teachers that are with me in this dream. It's amazing to me how this works. Just amazing how this unfolds.
I also love what Cindy said about what she shares sometimes, and she so correct afterwards. What did I say everything I wanted to say? That happened to me a lot. I normally don't share unless I'm prompted, and normally before I share, listening to all your loving comments and shares, thoughts arise in my mind constantly. And I think to myself, Richard thinking to himself, I want to say this, I want to say that, and, oh, that'd be good, oh, that'd be good. And I have a list of things mentally I want to share. And then I share because I'm prompted to share. And about maybe 25% of the thoughts are shared. And I finish sharing, and I go, what happened to all the other shit I was going to say? So then rather than correct myself, I laugh at myself and go, what you said was exactly what you were supposed to say. And what you didn't say was what we're not supposed to say. So I know nothing. So I'm just opening myself up to share. On what I share. And that's it. I mean, I try not to judge it anymore, but there's a part of me that still gets in there and goes, that sounds right. I should have said this. Maybe I could have done this. So, love us all.
Love us all. You're still playing in the sand pit. That's what we're all doing. We're just playing in the sand pit, right? Oh, it's so much fun. I can see that Patricia and Sandra want to say something. Patricia, go for it.
Thank you. I want to add to what Richard is saying. We're all in the sandbox together with all our pimples and warts. So be it.
Sandra, I don't want to put pressure on you, but did you want to say something or no? That's fine if you don't. Okay. No worries. All right. So,
Okay, a thought just came in. If God speaks to me all through the day, I used to think that I could identify which thoughts were from source. And now I realize that I can't. And I don't need to. You know, the loving thoughts, the uplifting thoughts, the recognitions of beauty all seem to be, those were the ones. And now, if everything is God and God creates everything, there isn't something else that's creating these other things. I'm realizing it's all from source. I was just still in the habit of judging what was the right ones.
exactly. And then I ask myself, who is listening and who is judging? There's still separation there. So there's really just being. Just as John Klein says, being, listening. The thought arises. It arises in the awareness. It just arises. I just notice it. I don't have to do anything with it. I don't have to judge it. I don't have to do anything. It's all for me. It's all for me to have an experience with as mind of God. It's all just arising. It's so amazing.
It is pretty awesome. You know, it's awesome in a way. It's as me, by me, and for me.
And through me.
That I am fully integrated. Someone use the word integrate at the end of your meditation this morning. Mm-hmm. And that I am fully integrated as one. And the difference now is that with the experiences that previously were painful, hurtful, suffering, now they're observed as being created by me being source. And wow, then it becomes like, what was that music in the Twilight saying? Do, 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 do. It was like, this is happening. And I really can't explain it. But God's voice speaks to me all through the day. All, the word all. I just have to ponder that for a while.
Well, how could it not be speaking to you all through the day if all is all? Patricia, and then Livy.
Thank you. Good morning again, all. What I've been doing lately is that the separate self, the ego, whatever you want to call it, those are just words, that part that suffers, that has had this long history, of suffering. What I'm doing now as a process of turning it over is adding color so it dissolves, adding some transparency so it begins to dissolve, and giving it over. Because when I let it go and I come back to the now, I ask, is that true? And the answer is generally, no, not right now. It's not true. And that's all that matters is right now. But the feeling is still strong because it's so old. So what? I did enough psychotherapy because I know why, but it doesn't matter because those are just words. It's there. It's alive in that moment inside myself, in that place that Richard calls, yeah, Patricia. Right, Richard? I mean, Richard is Richard, Patricia is Patricia. This person, it arises. It's there. It's always been there. A little fairy dust. Whatever image comes up. Is it true in this moment in time? No. Is it still there? Residually. So I just wanted to share that.
Yes, yes. And it's sometimes helpful also to ask, on whose behalf is this feeling arising? On whose behalf?
I don't understand. Say a little bit more about that, please.
So when a feeling of the past pain arises in the present moment, it's arising in the present moment. It's a pain from the past. It's not something that we're feeling now. And we can ask, we can inquire, on whose behalf is this feeling arising? And usually it's on behalf of the person, the idea, the being, quote unquote, that thinks that it is separate. So when I am sitting and a feeling of my father arises that is painful, I can ask, on whose behalf is this feeling arising? It's arising on behalf of the wounded child who thinks that she is still wounded. Is there a wounded child? No. It's arising on behalf of of the memory itself. And it's arising because it wants to keep that alive, because that's its identity. Because without that memory, there is no identity. So when I ask, on whose behalf is this arising? It's arising on behalf of the egoic mind that is grasping for memories that will keep its identity going.
Okay, may I ask one more question here? When there's an existential experience, like the experience of despair or the experience of sadness or the experience of joy, whatever the existential experience, it isn't just one thing. It isn't just the wounded child. Sure, the wounded child is there, and the despair certainly lived in that, but it's bigger than that. So what
Yes,
about existential stuff?
yes, it can arise. In fact, that's one of the ego's favorite tricks. It doesn't have to be anything specific. Fear takes 1,000 forms. It can be nameless. That's a fear of the future. Now,
Existentialism?
the existential fear is a fear of the future. Aren't you fine right now?
Right, but
In the moment, we're fine, but the existential fear is a fear that in some future moment, it won't be okay. It's the small mind pulling you out of the present moment in which everything is all right and into some fearless, nameless future time in which things have fallen apart. That's the same thing. On whose behalf does this fear arise?
so are you saying that anything existential is fear-based?
If it's fear,
Well, despair is despair fear. I
yes,
mean, one can connect that,
yes,
or there.
yes,
I wish Heidegger were here to help me explain what I mean,
it's all right.
because I'm not doing a good job.
No, you are. You are doing a great job. There's no. On whose behalf does the feeling that I'm not doing a good job arise?
I'm not articulating what I want to. It's not coming forefront.
It's perfect, Patricia. It is perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Really. I mean that completely sincerely.
Thank you. And I'm sure Richard could add to that. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. It's 11 o'clock. I'm willing to go another couple minutes if Cindy is. Okay, so Livy.
I'm actually going to concede to Richard because I think I want to keep that conversation going. What I was saying was not related to that. So I'd rather have Richard respond. So thank you, though.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, what Patricia was saying, my understanding, at least the way I see it is, first there's the guilt. The separate self is separated from source. That is guilt. And with the guilt, any thoughts about the past are about guilt. The original guilt of separation. And once that happens, when thoughts of guilt arise in the mind, then fear of punishment is projected into the future. So we start off feeling guilty because we committed the sin of separation. And then we believe that in the future we will be punished. And I believe that manifests in our psyche as a different form of whatever the profession of use, whether it be fear or sadness or depression or whatever the word is. I believe for me as easily as to say, Richard is a compilation of thoughts about the past. That's what Richard the Dream Figure is. He's a manifestation of a bunch of thoughts about the past. And Richard is therefore, because he's separate from a source, he believes he will be punished in the future. And so the fear arises in the experience, fear of the future because of the sin he believes he committed when he separated, when he chose to be separate from source. I don't know if that helps, but that's how my mind wraps itself around the whole idea of sin and guilt and fear and love. And when the present moment you realize none of that really happened, and it will not happen in the future because what you are in truth is not, and never began and it will never end. So, and you are innocent beyond cause. So you've dreamed the whole thing up in order to remember who you really are. And what I find that I can experience being the fearful and guilty Son of God as a joke. It's something I can laugh at now. But it manifests in everything in my experience. I mean, my relationships, it's not one thing, like you were saying, Patricia. It's a multitude of things. It's like all these tendrils are going out of my mind, and they're all affected by these thoughts I've accumulated over the years. And I'm cleaning up all one by one, and every time I do, I raise my consciousness higher and higher. And so my experience becomes much more peaceful, much more loving. And I don't know if that helps, but
It does. I appreciate that because, yeah, I mean, that's why I love A Course in Miracles. You know, the non-dual path isn't for everybody. A Course in Miracles explains things so well, so well. And Richard, you just did, and it's much appreciated. Cindy.
I am inspired to simply quote one of our favorite teachers, regardless of the feeling or where it's coming from, whether it's despair or anger or fear or grief, or it's a broken shoulder or a fight with our spouse, whatever it is. Our very favorite teacher in this community will tell you that it is for you. It is a gift. And the moment we reframe it that way, we could sit, and whether you say, for whom does this arise? You might just say, all right, I accept. We all trust her. This is for me. So where's the gift? And the moment I shift to that energy, despair, in the words of Sandra, like I could be in love with the despair. I could be in love with the fear. I could hold the pain of a broken shoulder in an embrace, knowing that everything is for me. And so and there's chills here. That's what I wanted to add. She's not here, but we all thank her every time she reminds us.
Thank you, Cindy.
I want to just say one more thing. Read lesson 48. There is nothing to fear. Just read through that. The presence of fear is a sure sign that you are trusting in your own strength. The awareness that there is nothing to fear shows that somewhere in your mind, though not necessarily a place you recognize yet, you have remembered God. So lesson 48 is a great one to practice. Really great. And it's you don't just do these lessons once. You do them the rest of your life, right? Sorry, Sandra.
Thank you for letting me add in. When you were speaking, I just wanted to say, Patricia, when you were speaking, there is nothing wrong with despair. There is nothing wrong with grief. They are entirely appropriate in certain situations and circumstances that we are experiencing. We're not trying to get rid of them. In fact, I love my grief. It shows the depth of who I truly am. I love my despair when it shows the depth of my compassion and the love, the deep, deep love that I have for humanity. I just experience it differently now, as Cindy explains my feelings better than I do. But I just needed to say that.
Thank you so
And I
much.
so appreciate everything you add to our discussions.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Ah, right. When we know ourselves the eternal all, everything is for us. Everything. As Sandra said, it is so amazing that we can feel all of this. You know, it may feel like fear, but it's still spiritual ice cream, you know? It really is, because wow, it is so, the all never feels despair, never feels fear. It's it's like beef stroganoff. It's just a new flavor of being. And it feels like crap at the time, but and Livy, thank you for your comment. And we're gonna spend a half a day together and we are just it's gonna be amazing. Okay, all right. Well, there's another in like almost 50 minutes. There's another gathering. I have a doctor's appointment, so I won't see you all, but thank you for showing up in this space. And I love being here. I love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah. And